Alrighty. So, I've got a goodie for you guys. Oh, jeez, I sound like fucking flats. Okay. Anyway, um, so I was bored today, and um, I may or may not have asked Google a. Okay, I have to hold on before I do this. I have to give you a rundown. I got to give you the lore. So I was looking for a text-based game that. Um, Also, yeah, you can look at my beautiful desktop. Okay. Um, I was looking for a text-based game that I had played a long time ago. Um, I doubt any of you will know what it is. Actually, none of you will. But um, so I basically asked Google AI to kind of search for it. Um, and it ended up creating a text-based game for me, like on the spot, instead of just like actually searching for what I wanted. And so that's how I learned that Google AI can make you a text-based game. Uh, yeah, interesting. I know. Well, I mean, I kind of already knew that, but like I just didn't expect it just from like the Google search bar, like from that AI system. And so I just started playing around with it, and eventually I decided just randomly um, to make a story about basically fan fiction Hogwarts. So I asked it to make me this right here. Don't ask me why I added this last part, but um, yeah, and it made me this. So I think it'll be best if I just kind of go through it together with you and see what it spat out. All right. Echoes of the Arcanum. You are Raven, a first-year student at the prestigious e- Ethelgard Academy. Yeah, I don't even know. To the outside world, it is a sanctuary for the magical elite, but beneath its shifting obsidian hallways lies the Hollows, a sprawling, forbidden labyrinth of dungeons. Chapter 1: The Midnight Threshold. The scent of old parchment and ozone fills the air of the grand library. It is past curfew. You stand before a concealed iron door, hidden beneath a tapestry of the cosmos. Beside you are your two closest companions, Lyra, a brilliant, sharp-tongued elementalist. Her fingertips spark with blue flame when she's anxious, and she has always looked out for you. Perhaps too closely. Ooh, God. And Gideon, a stoic combat mage wielding a runic broadsword. He acts as your shield, but lately his quiet glances suggest deeper feelings. Ugh. Yeah, yep, they certainly added romance to this. If Headmaster Vance catches us, expulsion is the least of our worries, Lyra whispers, her voice trembling slightly. She steps closer to you, the warmth of her proximity cutting through the damp chill. Gideon rests a heavy, reassuring hand on your shoulder. I have your back, Raven, always. Let's open it. You press your palm against the cold iron. Your latent shadow magic surges. Oh, and of course, it's just fucking perfect that it gives me fucking shadow magic. Like, that can't. Oh, God. Jesus, it's already perfect. Your latent shadow magic surges and the door grinds open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into pitch blackness. Choose your next action. take Lyra's hand for comfort. You lead the way together into the dark, strengthening your romantic bond with her. Turn and give Gideon a grateful nod. You lean into his touch, letting him know how much his presence means to you. Step forward alone. You focus strictly on the danger ahead, prioritizing the mystery over your feelings. Which one did I pick here? Yeah, I picked A. Okay. Your fingers brush against Lyra's and she hesitates for a single heartbeat before gripping your hand tightly. Her palm is warm and the electric spark of her magic calms down into a steady, comforting glow. Careful, she murmurs softly, looking up at you with her striking silver eyes in the dim light. Don't go getting us killed on the first night, Raven. Gideon clears his throat, a faint shadow crossing his face, though he says nothing as he draws his rune-carved broadsword and steps down the stone staircase first. The heavy stone door clicks shut behind you. Well, it's already amazing. It's already great. The Weeping Descent. You walk down the winding steps for what feels like miles. The air shifts from dry dust to damp, heavy mist. Faint, rhythmic dripping echoes from the dark below, accompanied by a low melodic hum that vibrates in your teeth. Not quite human, but musical. At the bottom of the stairs, the passage opens into a vast cavernous grotto. Phosphorescent blue fungi cling to towering stone pillars, casting eerie silhouettes across a shallow upgrade lake. Which I have to say, I was not expecting this level of description from fucking AI. Like, holy shit. In the center of the lake, a broken stone bridge leads to a massive iron-bound chest resting on a dais, but somewhere moves in the water slender, pale forms breaking the surface with sharp ripples. Lyra doesn't let go of your hand. Instead, she steps closer to your side, her shoulder pressing against yours. Water sprites, she whispers, her voice barely a breath. They're aggressive when the tide is low. If we cross, they'll swarm. Gideon lowers his stance. I can clear a path through the shallow bank, but it leaves our flanks open. Or if we can find a way around the perimeter. Choose your next action. Squeeze Lyra's hand back and whisper reassurance. You propose casting a combined, yeah, that's how you pronounce that, combined spell, her fire and your shadow, to create a protective barrier across the lake. B. Let go of Lyra and move to Gideon's side. You offer to watch his back during a direct frontal charge through the shallows. Suggest looking for a hidden ledge. You search the cavern wall for an alternate safe route around the water to avoid a fight entirely. So yeah, this is the thing you'll notice, like, basically, like, every choice is like, do you want to go with Lyra or do you want to go with Gideon? Or do you want to be completely asexual and just focus on the main quest? Yeah. That's basically what it is. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And then for this, I just told it to do both A and B. So I didn't... Yeah, I picked an even cuckier neutral option, but yeah. You try to split the difference, creating a moment that leaves both of your companions breathless, though it forces you to move fast. First, you gently squeeze Lyra's hand, locking eyes with her. Trust me, you whisper. Let's blend your flame with my shadow. She nods, her cheeks flushing a light crimson as she raises her free hand. Together you unleash a combined wave of dark, searing embers that erupts across the water, creating a dense wall of boiling steam that blinds and disorients the water sprites. Before the steam can clear, you let go of Lyra and leap forward to Gideon's side. Now, Gideon, let's go, you yell, stepping right into his guard. Gideon's eyes widen in a surprise, a flash of fierce pride replacing his usual stoic look. Right behind you, Raven, he roars, with your shadow magic shielding his blind spots and his broadsword cleaving through the mist. You both charge through the shallow bank, perfectly synchronized. You all make it across the dais just as the sprites recover, slamming against the barrier behind you. You are safe for now. Standing right in front of the massive iron-bound chest, Lyra is breathing heavily, looking at you with a mix of awe and lingering jealousy, while Gideon stands close, his hand lingering near yours on his sword hilt, his chest heaving. God. The obsidian cache. The chest sits before you, pulsing with a faint purple luminescence. It requires a magical frequency to unlock, but the air... Sorry. Whew. But the air around it growing colder, or is rapidly growing colder. The sprites are beginning to circle the Dia? Is it Dia? How the fuck do you... Whatever. And your combined spell is fading fast. Choose your next action. Pull Lyra close to decode the chest together. Use your analytical mind and your shared magical spark to crack the lock quickly before the sprites break through. Stand shoulder to shoulder with Gideon. You hold the line against the encroaching monsters, giving Lyra the time she needs to open it solo. Smash the lock yourself. You use a concentrated burst of raw shadow magic to force it open, risking a trap to save time. Stand back, Lyra. Work your magic on that lock, you command, stepping on the edge of the Dia. Gideon immediately moves with you, his shoulder locking against yours. He glances at you, a fierce protective warmth in his eyes. Thought you'd never ask. He grunts, raising his glowing broadsword. As the steam dissipates, dozens of pale, screeching water sprites burst from the lake. Claws extended, you channel your shadow magic into thick, binding tendrils that erupt from the stone, wrapping around the lead creatures and lead or lead? I think it's lead. Yeah, because they're like sprites, and dragging them down. Gideon follows through instantly, his blade humming with raw physical power. As he shatters your frozen targets, you fight in perfect harmony, a seamless dance of shadow and steel. Behind you, Lyra's fingers fly across the pulsing purple runes of the chest. Almost got it, she shouts over the din of battle. The din? What? Yeah, I don't know. Actually, hold on a second. I gotta check something. Okay. Behind okay. A massive elite sprite leaps from the dark, aiming directly for your blind spot. Gideon notices it a second too late to swing his sword. Without hesitation, he throws his body in front of you, taking the brunt of the creature's icy impact. He stumbles into your arms, gritting his teeth in pain, his face inches from yours. Raven, I'm fine, he pants, his grip tightening on your arm as he refuses to fall. At the exact moment, a loud click echoes through the cavern. The chest swings open, bathing the grotto in... Is it grotto or grotto? Whatever. Grotto in a brilliant violet light that drives the remaining sprites back into the deep water. The Starstone Fragment. Inside the chest lies a glowing, jagged shard of pure cosmic energy. A starstone fragment rumored to grant unimaginable power to whoever wields it. However, Gideon is injured, his shoulder frosted over with dark cursed ice from the sprite's attack. Choose your action. Tend to Gideon's wounds immediately. You let Lyra take the fragment while you use your own body heat and magic to melt the cursed ice, deeply moving him. Oh my god, they had to add that part. Offer the Starstone fragment to Lyra. Isn't Starstone from Lies of P? No, that's Wishstone, I think. Whatever the fuck. You praise her quick work, using the gesture to soothe the tension from earlier and win her favor. I love how, like, okay, both of these options are just, like, Fuck Gideon, he's about to die. Just let him die. Claim the fragment yourself. You absorb its power to ensure you can protect both of them on the way back up, prioritizing raw strength. So yeah, I chose to heal Gideon here. Although this shit over here just flew out of nowhere. Yeah, you drop your focus on the glowing chest, leaving the Starstone fragment behind. As you rush to Gideon's side, your hands glowing with a deep, dark warmth. Gideon, stay still, you command, dropping to one knee to support his weight. You press your palms directly against the frostbitten armor over his shoulder. Channeling your shadow magic inward, you invert the chill, turning your own body heat into a conduit to draw out the cursed blue ice. Gideon groans, his teeth clenched, but as the black frost sizzles and melts away into wisps of dark smoke, he visibly relaxes. What was the thing here? Oh, it was for these. Never mind. His breathing steadies. Gideon looks down at you, his rough hand coming to gently cup the side of your face, his thumb brushing your cheek. His usual stoic armor is completely gone, replaced by a raw, profound vulnerability. You absolute fool, he whispers, a faint, tender smile breaking through his exhaustion. You could have taken the fragment, but you chose this. You chose me. Behind you, the violet glow of the open chest illuminates the cavern. Lyra steps over, her expression a complicated mix of lingering tension, respect, and a sudden quiet realization of what you mean to each other. She looks down at the jagged starstone fragment, then back at the two of you. The magic in this shard is stabilizing, Lyra says softly, her voice missing its usual sharp edge. She kneels down, carefully lifting the shard with the tip of her wand. It's safe to handle now, but we need to move. The commotion is going to draw the Academy wardens if we linger. Chapter 2. My god, I'm so fucking tired. But I'm not. But I'm actually not. Alright. Echoes in the courtyard. Yeah, I like how this whole thing has a fucking chapters to it. Like, it's crazy. Alright. You make it back up the spiral staircase before dawn breaks. The heavy iron door clicking shut behind the Cosmos tapestry, just as the morning bells ring across Ethelgard Academy. Gideon walks with a slight limp, leaning slightly against your shoulder, whilst Lyra carries a starstone fragment hidden safely within a lead-lined pouch. As you step out into the sunlit center courtyard, students in crisp black and silver robes begin streaming towards the Great Hall for breakfast. Everything looks normal, serene, and entirely mundane, making the secret world beneath your feet feel like a fever dream. Suddenly, Headmaster Vance's familiar, sharp-eyed... Yeah, that was messed up. Sharp-eyed familiar, a mechanical owl with brass feathers, perches on the stone fountain ahead. It turns its glowing emerald eyes directly towards your trio. I'm wondering if that owl is from MASH. I can't remember if MASH, the show, Mashal has the headmaster having a mechanical owl. I can't remember. Oh, whatever. Alright. Pull Gideon closer and walk past boldly. Use the cover of the morning crowd to slip away during the dormitory, holding on to the intimacy of the night. Meet Lyra's gaze and signal a diversion. You let her use her elemental tricks to short-circuit the mechanical owl's focus while you and Gideon split off. Approach the owl directly. You test whether Vance already knows what you found in the hollows, refusing to show fear. So yeah, I went with B. You catch Lyra's eye and give a subtle nod. She understands instantly, a mischievous spark dancing across her fingers behind the fold of her cloak. As the brass owl's head cocks at a sharp mechanical angle, and its emerald gaze zeroes in on Gideon's slightly stiff posture. Lyra flicks her wrist. A tiny, invisible static discharge leaps from her fingertips, striking a nearby gas lamp. The gas lamp sputters with a loud pop, showering harmless white sparks over the cobblestones. The mechanical owl snaps its head towards the flash, its internal gears grinding in a confused whir as it recalculates its focus. Now, you whisper, gripping Gideon's arm. You and Gideon pivot behind a cluster of chattering upperclassmen, blending into the sea of black and silver robes, just as Lyra slips smoothly through the side archway through the alchemy labs. The brass owl flutters in the air, completely losing your trail. Safe inside the dim and quiet corridor of the first dormitories. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Gideon lets out a long breath and leans back against the stone wall. The adrenaline fades, leaving the heavy warmth of the morning sun cutting through the high-arched windows. He looks down at you, his hands sliding down your arm to intertwine his fingers with yours. That was way too close, Gideon murmurs, his voice low and rich in the empty hallway. You and Lyra, you worked well together, but I'm glad you're here with me. The dormitory secret. Later that afternoon, between your classes on defensive wards and botanical alchemy, Lyra slips a folded piece of parchment onto your desk. Inside, scrawled in her sharp, hurried handwriting, are the words, "Meet me in the greenhouse after dark. The starstone is reacting to the night bloom." Simultaneously, as you pack your books, Gideon waits by the door, blocking the exit with quiet intensity. "Training session tonight, Raven," he says, though his eyes are entirely focused on yours. "Just the two of us. We need to talk about what happened down in the hollows." The fragment is changing things, and your relationships with both companions are reaching a boiling point. You can only choose one place to be when the moon rises. Choose your action. Go to the greenhouse and meet Lyra. You delve deeper into the magical mysteries of the Starstone and explore the growing heat between you and the Elementalist. Go to the training grounds to meet Gideon. You honor your bond with the combat mage, letting him show you the depth of his feelings in the shadows of the arena. Try to visit both. You attempt to split your night to see them both, risking discovery by the wardens or alienating them both. So yeah, I went A on this one. You slip out of the dorms under the cover of twilight, heading towards the glass spires of the Academy greenhouse. The air inside is thick with the scent of crushed jasmine and damp earth. Tropical bioluminescent flora casts a soft, shifting violet glow across the glass panes. Lyra stands by a fountain of crystalline water. The starstone fragment rests on the stone pedestal between you, pulsing in perfect harmony with a rare night blooming orchard beside it. When she hears your footsteps, she turns around, her usual defensive posture melting away. "You came," she said softly. She steps forward, the violet light catching the silver in her eyes. "I half expected you to be trading blows with Gideon in the training yard." Training yard? Training yard. She looks down at the fragment, then up at you, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Raven, down there in the dark, when you combined your magic with mine, I felt a connection I've never felt with anyone else. It wasn't just the spell, it was us." She steps closer, her hand gently rising to rest against your chest. You can feel the rapid beat of her heart beneath her velvet robes. "Gideon might be your shield," she murmurs, looking right into your eyes. "But I want to be your fire. Tell me I'm not imagining this." A spark in the glass house. The atmosphere is electric. The starstone fragment flares with warm, encouraging light, mirroring the tension between the two of you. Choose your action. Lean in and kiss her, solidifying your bond. Take her hand, but gently set boundaries. You care for her deeply, but you want to keep your relationship focused on your friendship and unlocking the mysteries of the Hollow. Deflect to the Starstone fragment. You break the romantic tension by pointing out a sudden, dangerous change in the artifact's pulsing pattern. So I cucked out. I figured, like, because I figured, like, this would, like, end basically, like, the story or whatever, so, and then this one is, like, just putting her in the friend zone, basically, so I just went with this one, because I figured, like, I don't know, I figured I'd blue ball the protagonist here. You swallow hard, your gaze dropping from her striking silver eyes to the glowing stone between you. You gently place your hand over hers on your chest, feeding the warmth before pulling back just enough to break the spell. Lyra, look, you say, pointing a trembling finger at the pedestal. The starstone fragment has stopped its steady, gentle pulse. Instead, dark, web-like obsidian veins are cracking across its surface, its violet surface, and the night blooming orchard next to it is rapidly withering into ash. The air grows sharp, tasting faintly of copper and thunder. Lyra's breath catches her romantic vulnerability, instantly replaced by the sharp, analytical focus of a top-tier elementalist. She snatches her hand back, her fingertips sparking with defensive blue fire. That's not normal resonance, she gasps, stepping back. It's drawing something in from the outside the greenhouse. Before either of you can move, the massive glass dome overhead shatters outside in a shower of glittering crystal. A heavy armored shape drops from the night sky, landing with a thunderous crash right on the stone path. It is a high-tier mechanical warden of oh my god. I'm just gonna say Ethelgard. Its brass and obsidian chassis smoking, its emerald visor locked directly on the starstone fragment. A cold synthetic voice grinds from its mechanical throat. Contraband detected, initiating retrieval protocol. The glass shatters. The warden raises a massive steam-powered gauntlet that crackles with white-hot suppression energy, cutting off your escape back towards the door. Lyra is backed against the crystal fountain, her fire magic flaring bright against the encroaching shadow of the machine. Use your shadow magic to blind and entangle the warden. You coordinate a rapid-fire combo with Lyra's blue flames to tear the machine apart from the inside. Grab the star fragment and run. You snatch the unusable artifact and dive through the shattered greenhouse wall, drawing the machine's fire away from Lyra. Shout a telepathic warning to Gideon. You trigger an emergency rune to summon Gideon from the training yards. Hopefully he arrives before the warden can strike. So I went with B. I had to take him away from. I had to save our girl here. I had to save our best girl. A raven snatches the starstone fragment off of the. Yeah, and then it goes into like third person here, which, whatever, it's fine. Just as the mechanical warden's gauntlet slams into the stone where he stood, shattering it into dust. Pushing past the hesitation of the moment, he dives headfirst through the jagged open archway of the shattered greenhouse wall, clutching the pulsing obsidian-veined shard to his chest to draw the heavy machine's lethal focus away from Lyra. The brass warden's heavy servos grinds as it pivots, ignoring Lyra completely, and unleashing a blinding arc of white-hot suppression energy that scorches the glass right at your heels. You roll across the damp courtyard dirt, skidding into the shadows of the ancient oak trees. Behind you, a massive shadow materializes from the side path, Gideon arrives with his runic broadsword blazing, intercepting the warden with a deafening metallic crash just as it clears the greenhouse wreckage. With a fierce roar, Gideon drives his blade straight through the machine's primary steam valve, sending a geyser of hissing pressure into the air before the mechanical beast collapses into a heap of dead iron. Gideon stands panting over the wreckage, his eyes locking onto you in the pale moonlight. He sees you clutching the fragment, completely safe, but then he spots Lyra rushing out through the broken door, her hands still glowing with unused magic. The tension in the courtyard is thick enough to cut, but you are alive, and the secret of the hollows has just followed you to the surface. Confess everything to Gideon and Lyra. You pull them close under the trees and tell them the Academy is hunting the fragment, and you need to figure out why together. Hand the fragment to Gideon. You let him take responsibility for hiding it in the armory while you check on Lyra's safety. Conceal the fragment's true state. You keep quiet about the obsidian veins spreading across the stone, hiding the looming danger from your worried friends. So I ended up picking this one just because I figured it was the most like cinematic, but I don't know, this one might have been okay to do as well. Raven pulls Lyra and Gideon into the dark shelter of the ancient oak trees, revealing the pulsing, web-veined starstone fragment in his hand. He tells them point blank that the Academy wardens are actively hunting the artifact, meaning the secret dungeons below and the faculty above are now deeply intertwined. A pact in the shadows. Lyra exhales a shaky breath, her anger at the sudden ambush giving way to sharp resolve as she studies the darkening veins on the crystal. Gideon sheaths his humming broadsword with a dull clink, stepping closer until his shoulder presses against yours, while Lyra rests her hand over your other arm. If Vance's mechanical hounds are tracking this thing, we can't keep it in the dorms, Lyra whispers, her silver eyes reflecting the erratic violet pulse. We need to go deeper into the hollows, past the water grotto, to the sealed archives where the map of the foundations is kept. Gideon nods grimly, and we do it together. No more secrets between the three of us, Raven. Whatever this stone is doing, we face it as a unit. The air grows heavy with the scent of ozone as the distant bells of Ethelgard Academy begin to toll from the midnight inspection. Lead them back into the hollows immediately. You should use the chaos of the warden's destruction to slip through the library entrance before the morning patrols shift. Secure the fragment in a hidden alcove on the campus first. You cache the stone safely in the botanical gardens while you and your friends rest and plan your next descent. Seek out a sympathetic professor. You bring the fragment to Professor Vane's outcast rival, hoping to learn the truth about the obsidian veins before risking the deep dungeons. Before I tell you which one I picked, I have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be back.
I'm back.
Alright. So I went with B. You rush back to the botanical gardens under the cover of night, working together. Lyra uses her magic to part the heavy roots of a massive glowing night lily, while you place the pulsing starstone fragment inside a lead-lined lockbox, burying it deep beneath the enchanted soil. Gideon stands guard at the greenhouse perimeter, his hand on the hilt of his broadsword, his eyes scanning the moonlit paths for any sign of Headmaster Vance patrols. The lily's natural magic will mask the fragment's energy signature, Lyra whispers, wiping. Why does she always whisper? Always. Wiping dirt from her palms, she looks at you, a soft smile breaking through her exhaustion. But it won't hold forever. We have maybe 48 hours before the roots wither from the corruption. Gideon steps back into the shadows with the two of you, his chest heaving toward it slightly from the adrenaline. The wardens will be crawling all over the courtyard by morning. We need to act normal during class tomorrow. Then we make our move into the lower archives tomorrow night. He reaches out, his hand resting firmly on your shoulder, while Lyra leans her head against your arm for a brief, quiet moment. The bond between the three of you has never felt stronger, forged in the heat of the midnight ambush. Chapter 3 The Faculty's Eye. The next morning, the academy is a hornet's nest. Whispers of a rogue warden malfunction echo through the stone walls of the great dining hall. At the high table, Headmaster Vance sits in silence, his emerald-eyed mechanical owl perched on his shoulder, its gaze sweeping across the sea of students. During your... What is this? Faculty's Eye. That's what it's called. Okay. A messy... During the advanced abjuration class, Professor Hesper stops right at your desk. She leans in, her eyes narrowing as she notices a faint, silvery smudge of greenhouse soil on your black and silver uniform cuff. A messy workplace leads to messy spellcasting, Mr. Raven, she says smoothly, her voice carrying a hidden edge. I suggest you clean yourself up before your evening practical exam. The clock is ticking, night is fast approaching, and the wardens are tightening their security sweep around the campus grounds. Slip away during the afternoon feast, you skip the remaining classes to retrieve the fragment and head straight for the library entrance before security gets tighter. Confront Professor Hesper in private. You stay behind after class to see if she knows anything about the Hollows, using your charm to fish her for information. Wait for midnight as planned. You play the part of the perfect student, endure the practical exam, and meet Gideon and Lyra under the cover of total darkness. So I went with C. Raven plays the role of dutiful student, enduring the afternoon practical exam with calculated precision, successfully hiding the dirt on his cuffs and avoiding Headmaster Vance's immediate suspicion. Midnight assembly. When the final bell tolls at midnight, the corridors of Ethelgard Academy fall into a heavy, suffocating silence. You slip out of your dorm room, your shadow magic cloaking your footsteps against the cold obsidian floorboards. Waiting for you behind the grand astrological tapestry are Lyra and Gideon. Lyra's fingers dance with soft, smoky blue embers that illuminate her determined expression, while Gideon adjusts the leather straps of his broadsword harness, his jaw set. The botanical garden wardens haven't noticed the disturbances in the courtyard yet, but the perimeter patrols have doubled, Lyra whispers, stepping close enough for you to feel her warmth. She slides her hand into yours, fingers interlocking with yours. Gideon steps beside your other flank, his shoulder brushing against yours. He doesn't say anything, but his quiet, intense gaze communicates total loyalty and a lingering, unspoken tenderness. Together you pull back the heavy cosmos tapestry, reveal the iron door, and descend past the water grotto into the forgotten, untouched depths of the lower archives. The air down here smells of ozone and crushed stone. At the very center of the subterranean vault rests a colossal stone desk covered in glowing, dust-laden cartography runes, a map of the entire Academy foundations, and the shifting labyrinth beneath it glows faintly in the dark. But blocking the path to the map is a massive spectral guardian, its ancient armor forged of black iron and wreathed in blue ghost fire. Choose your next action. Step forward with Lyra to channel a joint spell. You can bind your shadow and her elemental fire to destabilize the spectral armor while you're holding her hand. Let Gideon take the vanguard charge. You hang back to support Gideon's physical strike with precise tactical shadow binds from the flanks. Try to sneak past the Guardian. You use your shadow magic to phase the three of you through the corner of the vault room, avoiding combat entirely to preserve your strength. So I went with C. Raven whispers a warning to his companions, and together they weave their shadow magic into a dense, ink-like shroud that swallows their forms and dampens the very sound of their breathing. The ghostly veil. Moving in total silence, you glide across the cold stone perimeter of the archive vault. The black iron spectral guardian sweeps its blue ghost fire blade through the empty air where you stood only seconds ago, its hollow visor turning in confusion. While with a final sweep of your hand, you phase yourself, Lyra and Gideon, straight through the illusory corner of the archive wall, slipping past the barrier like a mist through a keyhole. I always like that imagery there. You materialize safely on the other side of the colossal stone desk. Lyra lets out a shaky breath, her hand still gripped tight in yours. She leans against your shoulder, her eyes silver-wide with awe. I thought for sure we'd trigger a perimeter alarm, she murmurs, her face dangerously close to yours in the gloom. Gideon lets out a low rumble of approval, his hand resting reassuringly on the hilt of his broadsword as he steps up to the glowing cartography runes. Clean execution, Raven. Look at the desk. The Math of Ethelgard. Gideon brushes away a century of dust, and the stone map roars to life. It is a shifting, three-dimensional hollow projection of Ethel Academy, but the map reveals a chilling truth. The dungeons do not just run beneath the school, they are an anchor holding a massive dormant entity directly beneath the central courtyard. And flashing red at the core of that entity is the exact energy signature of the starstone fragment you left in the botanical gardens. Suddenly, a heavy mechanical thud echoes from the spiral staircase above. A deep synthesized voice booms through the lower archives, overriding the stone silence. Intrusion confirmed in Sector 0. Headmaster Vance is aware. Alright, so you can choose to grab the core map crystal and run for the escape hatch. You tear the central projection from the desk, risking a high-speed chase back to the surface with Lyra and Gideon. Stand and fight the incoming elite wardens. You fortify the archive doorway with shadow runes, turning the choke point into a battlefield alongside Gideon and Lyra. Smash the core table to blind the tracking system. You destroy the master map to protect the school's secrets, trusting your instincts to guide you back to the botanical gardens. So I went with C, because I thought it would be the most cinematic option, you know. Raven slams his palms down on the colossal stone desk, channeling a volatile burst of raw shadow magic that shatters the core cartography runes into a million glowing fragments. The three-dimensional map implodes into blinding sparks, instantly blinding the Academy's tracking network and plunging the lower archives into absolute echoing darkness. Wow, I'm actually just now realizing why they gave the character whose name is Raven Fucking shadow magic. Uh, I know, I know. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But I guarantee you didn't know it either. I guarantee that wasn't what you were thinking either, so shut up. Alright, the collapse and the return. Footsteps were Footsteps thunder down the spiral staircase as heavy elite wardens close in, but the darkness you summon shields your retreat. Grabbing Lyra and Gideon by the hands, you scramble through the narrow emergency maintenance chute. Just as the archive doors blow open with a deafening blast of magical force, you claw your way back to the surface, bursting out from beneath the tangled, corrupted roots of the botanical gardens, just as the first gray light of dawn bleeds across the horizon. The lead-lined lockbox is still buried where you left it, but the night lily above it has completely blackened, and the earth around it trembles with a low, ominous heartbeat. Gideon falls to one knee, catching his breath, while Lyra presses her back against a stone pillar. Her blue flame flaring weakly in the morning light. They look at you not just as a classmate or a friend, but the one who keeping them alive in a collapsing world. Alrighty. Choose your next action. Dig up the lockbox and flee the academy entirely. You convince Lyra and Gideon to go rogue, escaping into the wild outer territories before Vance can lock down the grounds. Unearth the fragment and confront Vance directly. You march straight up to the tower and demand answers about the entity beneath the courtyard. Hide in the deep dungeons permanently. You lead your friends past the lower archives into the uncharted underdepths, turning in the forbidden labyrinth into your new home. So yeah, I thought it was a bit weird that it gave me like options to leave the fucking setting, basically, to leave the academy. Like, ugh. I didn't want to pick this one because I figured like the headmaster would like arrest me or something. So I just went with C. Raven nods into the dark, his hand finding Lyra's and Gideon's in a firm, unbroken chain. Without a single word of hesitation, they unearth the corrupted lockbox, pry it open to absorb the stabilizing pulse of the Starstone fragment, and dive back down the maintenance chute into the forbidden, uncharted underdepths of the Hollows, just as Headmaster Vance's elite guard swarms the gardens above. The endless labyrinth, the heavy stone hatches sealed shut beneath you or behind you, cutting off the sunlight, the politics, and the superficial rules of Ethelgard Academy forever. Below the archives lies a bioluminescent abyss of crystal caverns and forgotten ruins where no faculty member has ever stepped foot. As you lead your companions deeper into the glowing, untamed dark, the Earth's rhythmic heartbeat synchronizes with the violet pulse of the fragment in your hand. You are no longer students hiding after curfew. You are the guardians of the deep. Lyra presses close to your side, her blue flame casting a warm, comforting perimeter against the shifting shadows. She rests her head on your shoulder, whispering, "There's no going back now, Raven, but as long as we're together, this feels like home." Gideon walks right beside your other flank, his runic broadsword humming a soft, protective tune in the cavern air. He offers a slow, reassuring smile, his fingers brushing yours. Wherever you lead, we walk. The depths are ours now. So yeah, that's that ending. And then it let me know if you wanted to go deeper into the subterranean factions, but I was like, I told it to go back and select option B. So yeah, this is if you go up to the tower. Although I'm sure that it would be a different outcome than if I just picked it outright. But whatever. Raven yanks the glowing starstone fragment up from the soil and tells Lyra and Gideon that running won't solve anything. They are marching straight to the high tower to force Headmaster Vance to tell them the absolute truth about the entity sleeping beneath the school. The sun is fully up now, casting a harsh golden light over Ethelgard Academy as you stride across the central courtyard in your soot-stained uniforms. Students whisper and step aside, sensing the heavy, crackling aura of a obsidian-veined fragment hidden safely inside your tunic. Gideon flanks to your right side, his jaw locked, his hand resting openly on his broadsword hilt to deter any curious wardens. On your left, Lyra matches your pace step for step, her blue elemental magic humming with nervous energy. Though she shoots you a fierce, supportive look, her shoulder brushes yours with every stride. You reach the massive bronze doors of the high tower before you can even raise your fist to pound on the metal. The heavy doors swing inward on their own. The interior is spiraling upward into shadow, lit only by the green eyes of Vance's mechanical owl waiting at the top of the stairs. Walk hand in hand with Lyra, you draw strength from elemental fire as you face the headmaster together. Let Gideon take the lead step. You let the combat mage shoulder the initial physical shockwave if Vance's defense trigger. Draw the fragment out and project a challenge. You brandish the pulsing stone immediately, demanding Vance show himself before you even ascend a single step. So I went with C. Raven steps past the threshold, pulls the jagged starstone fragment from his tunic and thrusts it upward. The dark obsidian veins across the crystal flare with a blinding violet shriek that shatters the silence of the high tower and halts the mechanical owl in mid-flight with a screech of grinding gears. The upper spiral staircase plunges into sudden shadow. A slow, heavy clap echoes from the gloom above. Headmaster Vance emerges from the dark, descending the stairs with his hands clasped behind his back, a faint, wary smile touching his lips. "I wondered when you would stop hiding in the dirt, boy," Vance says, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "You and your little companions think you found a secret. That labyrinth down there isn't the school basement, Raven. It is a cage, and that fragment in your hand is the key to keeping the old god beneath us asleep." Lyra gasps, stepping a half step behind you, her hand gripping the back of your robe for an anchor. Gideon slides in the front of your flank, sword half drawn, eyes locked on the headmaster. Vance points a single finger down towards the shaking floorboards of the courtyard. The rhythmic heartbeat beneath the stone grows deafening. The seal is cracking, and the choice you make now will decide the fate of Ethelgard and everyone standing beside you. Do you plunge the fragment into Vance's chest? You use your combined shadow magic to absorb his power, taking control of the cage and the entity yourself. Hand the fragment back to Vance. You trust the headmaster's wisdom, relinquishing the stone to help him reseal the branch alongside Gideon and Lyra. Shatter the fragment completely. You destroy the key once and for all, unleashing whatever sleeps below and forcing everyone to fight the entity face to face. Raven takes a measured breath, steps forward, and hands the pulsing starstone fragment back to the headmaster to help reseal the crumbling cage beneath the academy. The resealing and the dawn. Vance catches the jagged stone in his palm, the obsidian veins instantly calm, drinking in the headmaster's ancient stabilizing ward magic. With a blinding, flashing light, a flash of silver light, the floor beneath you stills, and the deafening heartbeat and the stone fades into a deep, peaceful silence. The entity is locked away once more. Vance looks down at the three of you, a rare glint of respect in his sharp eyes. You have saved us all from a catastrophe, awakening students. Ethelgard owes you its survival. As you step back into the sunlit courtyard, the weight of your shoulders finally lifts. Lyra lets out a breathless laugh, instantly throwing her arms around your neck and pressing a warm, lingering kiss to your cheek. her silver eyes shining. Gideon lets out a soft sigh of relief, stepping close to wrap a strong arm around your shoulder, his fingers gently squeezing your hand in a quiet, permanent promise of more than just comradeship. Comradeship? Is that comradeship? Okay. Is that a word? Whatever. Okay. The dungeons remain hidden beneath the school, but the shadows no longer feel terrifying, not when you share them together. If you'd like, we can start a new chapter, focusing on your continuing adventures. Okay. So yeah, I mean, the end doesn't make sense, because, like, you're kind of the ones that took the fragment in the first place. Um, but yeah. I just decided to go to the next chapter. But then afterwards, nothing really happens that's super important. Um, yeah, and I got all the way down here, like halfway through like the next chapter, and it's still loading the response. So I took that as a sign of, okay, this is kind of this is ending now. I broke the AI. um, but yeah. So that happened. Um, yeah. I guess I can show you what happened. What happens here? Although I'm not going to read it out, but you can just pause and read. Um, I'll just go through all of these. So yeah. Uh, so yeah. That's that. And yeah, that's about it.